Hey fellow Vault Dwellers, it's Angry Turtle, and today we are talking about legendary effects, those with a star for your weapons. How to put together the best possible combo. What is the best? I did that in the past, but so much change in regards to legendary effects that we need to redo it. If you are here just to grab a quick screenshot of what is the best S and A tier, only the best effects for weapons on this list. There is way more, but I selected the best and we'll dive deeper why those particular effects as well. How do you combine them to achieve the best possible effect? This fact that something is S tier on top doesn't always will be the best choice, as it depends on the weapon too, not only overall performance of the legendary mod. But there it is. If you just need that, that's fine. Screenshot that, keep it for further reference. Now, let's start. First star, S tier, and intentionally you may notice here I left a gap. That's not a mistake. Furious is just superior. It's like S plus tier. There is gap from Furious to second best, like Quad Blooded and Junkies. It's just so much more powerful. It comes with a synergy with entire new onslaught system. When you look at this effect description, like Furious alone, it says 5% damage per onslaught stack plus 9 stack. Some people think it's 45% total. It's not, because you have full onslaught. I even have a dedicated video explaining that. But long story short, it's between 100 to almost 200% damage increase, depend on enemy and how much onslaught you are using. So that's a lot. Nothing else is even close. Then we do have Blooded, that's as well S tier on the list. For Blooded builds, obviously, but very high bonus, 130% total. So that's a lot. If you are a Blooded build, you can run it very well. I would say all other effects are for every weapon and situation that Furious, you for some reason don't want to use or you cannot use. Let's say you don't want to run all the onslaught perks under agility, then you use something else. Or your weapon has very low ammo capacity and you really need quad, then obviously you will run quad in that case scenario. That's all S tier. And last one on my S tier list is Junkies. It was never there before, just because before it was really not possible to squeeze 100% bonus damage out of that effect, which makes it the best after Bloody. Like, that's the highest overall damage bonus that you can achieve from a prefix. The good news about Junkies and Blooded, those effects are a little bit different than Furious, therefore they do carry over to explosions, grenades, stuff like that, and are reflected in the weapon stats when you equip it. Some implication to it, so sometimes may be more desirable than Furious, sometimes. Then we do have more effects under A tier, like Juggernauts, Two-Shot, Mutants, Stalkers. Yes, those are much better now. So Juggernauts, you cannot really hit 100%. That's why it's not S tier. It's almost impossible. Only with full boost for very short period of time. But you can hit easily around 60% bonus damage, what makes Juggernauts a very good choice. Two-Shot, 75%, really good damage increase. But penalty to accuracy and increase to recoil. Plus, I don't know what will be the future of Two-Shot with explosive weapons and launchers. Something is happening with it on public test server. So it's very possible that it will no longer be the best for launchers. We'll see about that, but it will remain on A tier just because of 75% damage increase. As long as hipfire accuracy or recoil is not a problem in particular scenario, this is a really good increase. And sometimes you really want this extra projectile for perks that scale with number of projectiles, so that may be a desirable effect to split the bullet. Why there is Mutants and Stalker as well? Mutants is super easy to get consistent 50%. Mutants basically replace Aristocrats, as Aristocrats is harder. Keeping caps above 30k, it's harder than just running with 10 mutations. Anyone can run with 10 mutations. Most builds include 10 mutations. So yes, Mutants is very straightforward and easy, flat 50% damage bonus. And then Stalkers is really good bonus, but only for sneak attack. So situational for sneak specialized builds may be a very good effect. And now we're going for star number 2. There is a little bit more to say about those effects. Number 1 is Rapid. And nothing else at this moment can offer amount of DPS increase as Rapid can. For most top weapons, Rapid will be the best. The reason for that, we'll take a look on second star effects. Rapid just straight up gives you more fire rate. More fire rate without any string attached, just firing faster. And now we are in the times where criticals not always register. And from the next patch, it will be relatively difficult to achieve critical every other shot. So Vital was pushed out for most weapons. A little bit pushed out. It's not useless, it's still good, but pushed out. And Rapid taking place, especially, okay, Bethesda math, the followed math, I should say. The 25% weapon speed is not really 25% weapon speed. Yes, that's why I'm saying followed math. In case of some combination, it will be way more because the value is calculated from the base. So in case of this Gatling laser, if I switch it to anything else, that basically Rapid is 100% weapon speed. So you can see why Rapid is absolutely S tier for this particular weapon. Way more than the others. And underneath A tier, some surprises like Crippling, you could have faked that would never happen, but it is now. It is one of the very powerful effects. Crippling, Explosive, VATS Enhanced, Vital, and Hitman's. Hitman's, I was thinking if it should be here. I think it has enough, just enough to squeeze into A tier. So why Crippling? Crippling adds limb damage. It's unfortunately bad if you have energy weapon. So in case of this Gatling laser, you shouldn't use it. The reason for that, energy weapon have very weak ability to cripple limbs. Maybe it will change in the future. At this moment, that's how it is. So crippling is very good if we are talking about weapons with ballistic damage, like for example 50 cal or mixed damage. As long as there is ballistic damage, this marker in here, then crippling is really good. It helps you cripple limbs, synergizes with perks that then increase your damage, like easy target, 75% damage increase as soon as you cripple single limb, synergizes with bullies, 4-star legendary, we'll talk about bullies soon. Perfect. Explosive. This is really good and the best effect in case of launchers. If you have any launchers, explosive effect basically adds damage, a lot of damage to the base, so you really want it. Explosive effect doesn't change anything in how those weapons operate, it just flat boosts the damage. So you really want it for all type of launchers. Then a Hitman still made it in here damage while aiming with some weapons, quite solid 25%. It's normal additive bonus, so nothing super special, but does work on some weapons that you do want to use outside of VATS by firing at enemies. It is good. VATS enhanced, especially from the next patch when VATS accuracy is dropping a little, it will be even more important for your daily driver weapons. That's what I see it for. Daily driver weapons, you really want this hit chance as it will be harder to achieve a good VATS hit chance with the next patch. So yeah, it's here, 8 here. Vital, still really good. 50% crit damage increase. You cannot go wrong with it as long as you are using VATS and you are a VATS main. And we are going to star number 3. 2 under S tier. VATS optimized and lucky hit. VATS optimized, straightforward, cheaper VATS, again followed math, so that does count from a base value, base cost of the weapon. Therefore, sometimes it may be way more than 35% reduction if you are stacking it on top of all other possible mods that are reducing AP cost. VATS is a big part of followed game, always was. helps you do way more damage, and VATS optimized help you stay in VATS for much longer. 35%, very solid amount. The best S tier for a 3-star. Then second one is Lucky Hit. Lucky Hit is a name that will be soon official name. That's what changing with this one. Only name. Bonus VATS critical charge. You may think it's not super important, but with the next patch, currently it's not yet S tier, but I want to make it future proof. At least for 2025, I want this to be up to date. So from the next patch, it will be way harder to achieve critical every other hit. And VATS 15 VATS critical charge will help greatly. It will be huge difference to have it or not to have it, especially for some weapons and for whoever does not have a full set of 4-star armor with limit breaking. So Lucky will be very important here to achieve those criticals every other shot when you cannot afford full set of limit breaking. On top of that, for some of the weapons, AP cost doesn't really matter. And higher AP cost is not always bad, as we do have new perk, Number Cruncher, that increases your damage based on the AP cost, so it's not always bad. So sometimes you do want to have higher AP cost, and you can help yourself achieve criticals every other shot with Lucky. And then options from A tier, if you don't go VATS, there is no S tier option. If you don't go VATS, you have A tier, which is still a solid. Like, this list doesn't include anything that's weak, subpar, or just good. It's great or awesome. That's all I have on this list. So for star number 3, A tier options: durability, intelligence, resilient, and swift. What those do? Durability is straightforward. Some weapons just need it because they break way too often, and other weapons have perfect synergy if you put durability and 4-star effect that increases your damage based on the durability. So they go hand in hand. Intelligence, it's no longer only about more experience. Now it's scaled with science perks, therefore increases the damage of the weapon. It's not a lot, but it is something. And if you are not using VATS, there is really not so many options. Maybe honorable mention for lightweight if you need to carry lots of weapons. This can really help. No effect on combat, but you can carry more. Resilient is on the list because some weapons you reload almost all the time, and currently is 500 to all resistances, including elemental ones, making you super tanky for the duration of the reload. It tends to have some bugs. I don't know what will be the situation in the future when you will be watching it. Hopefully it will be working as intended. When it does work, it's super powerful. And lastly, reload speed for a lot of weapons will be the best option if VATS is not a concern. Only 15%, that's why it cannot make it to S tier, it's only A tier, as 15% is not enough improvement to hit S tier. And lastly, 4-star legendary effects. We do have 3 here in S tier. The only part when there are 3 in S tier: pinpointers, bullies, and conductors. And why? Pinpointers, you may think it shouldn't make it to the S tier because it's merely 20% damage to weak point. That's very little, but again, followed math. This 20% is multiplicative and not additive. The bonus from Furious, that you get 100%, 150%, depend on your build, is additive. The multiplicative one hits different. You will feel it more, like 80% damage increase. It will be 80 to 100% damage increase, depend how much additive bonuses you have. The more additive bonuses, like those one you already have, the more you will feel the pinpointer's damage increase. So this synergy make it absolute S tier. And because VATS is so powerful, it's very easy to hit the weak point and have this 20% consistently across all enemies. Absolute S tier. Then Bullies. Why is Bullies here? Bullies is new arrival. It was very weak in the past, but now is no more. If you combine it with ability to cripple enemy really fast with all the latest crippling perks, you can get fully cripple enemy, and this boost goes up. For most enemies, it will be 150%. For some enemies, it will be over 200% additive damage bonus. So yes, it is really good. It's even stronger than pinpointers, but only after you already cripple them. So there is a downside to it. Pinpointers work straight away, bullies after you cripple your enemy, and limp part is a little bit misleading here. Doesn't really mean limp, it just means enemy segment. When you target in VATS, as many targets as you can choose different targets. If you scroll, you like select torso, head, left arm, left leg, right leg. You count it. If that's 6, then you multiply this 25% by 6. That's usual human enemy. That's 150%. Yes, head counts as limp. Torso hat count as limp. Robots, all like combat inhibitor, let's say on robot, count as limp for purposes of this perk too. So everything is a limp. Everything that you can target separately in VATS for purpose of this perk count as limp. And last in S tier, conductors. Why this one is here? Pretty straightforward. It's super powerful. It both restores your health and action points with each critical. So basically every second shot on critical optimized build. Plus on top of that, there is extra 100 regeneration for AP and health over 5 seconds. That keeps going even if you exit VATS. That will keep healing you and keep topping up your action points. So Conductors is good for both slow and fast firing weapons. Allows to achieve continuous VATS, infinite VATS. Super powerful. Infinite VATS is super powerful. And sometimes when you want to use Conductors about mix and matching, you may choose not to go with rapid. And for Conductors, it's incredibly important that you get your criticals to register. Conductors will not work and not give you that if criticals are failing to register, which may be a problem. Therefore, increasing fire rate in this case scenario is not necessarily a good idea because of the server lag increasing with the fire rate. So Conductors fares better with something else, like critical damage. That's why I want to discuss all of those in depth so you know how to min-max your weapons, how to get the best pairing of those legendary effects. And only 2 in here for A tier. There is not so many 4-star to choose from, and others are too weak. There are some honorable mentions, so let's go over it. Why those 2, Polished and Stabilizers? Polished is straightforward damage increase based on the durability. 60% is the maximum, and your weapon need to be above 180% to hit the maximum bonus. Therefore, the window is very short. Like this white bar need to be up to here to get a full bonus. If it drops, there is no white bar, there is no bonus. So you need to be over-repairing. Over-repairing to 200% is only possible on the workbench, so you'll be spending materials. And that's why it's pairing really well with durability on 3rd star, so it doesn't break as fast. And you can retain the 60% damage bonus for longer. And Stabilizers, lastly. This one helps a lot for manual fire, especially for high recoil weapons, reducing recoil a lot. So recoil and accuracy both go up with that. Does not affect the damage. So I put it here in A tier. It doesn't affect the damage, but it does help you with other stuff if you don't want to use VATS. It's not VATS at all related, doesn't do anything for VATS. That's for non-VATS users. Honorable mentions for Pyromaniacs and Vipers. It's really good. And solid 50% damage increase. The problem is we can go higher with bullies or polished or pinpointers. And this one, target need to start burning before that kicks in. So you need to be able to set target or fire or poison the target. First hits will not have the bonus because target need to get the status. That's why those are not on top. But solid choices if you cannot choose anything what's on the list. Some examples now of what I have combined, like this Elder's Mark with limb damage, action point cost reduction, Conductors. So limb damage, another effect that pairs really well with Conductors. I do have, again, another limb damage on this 50 cal. Ultra Sight Gatling Laser that pairs greatly with weapon speed increases. Even though I do run it with conductors, it's okay, as fire rate is still way under 100, so criticals shouldn't lag, at least on most servers. I do have one Gatling Plasma with limb damage and bullies. So bullies in here to ramp up damage. It works great too. I choose to have a weightless on it just because I'm running out of space for most part. That's the main reason. We are not discussing here the melee weapons. For some weapons, like this example, Black Powder Rifle, I do have quad as a prefix. Otherwise, it's one shot and fire rate of 2. With quad not only gives me extra free shots, but increases fire rate. So for some weapons, like this one, Black Powder Rifle, quad would be actually S tier. There's nothing better. Furious will be worse in this particular case scenario than quad. So you need to always plan. Even knowing the best effects, it's not enough to just put the top row on every weapon. It will not work on every weapon. This weapon requires quad, has perfect synergy with flame damage, and I did choose to have durability polished. Although for the star 3 and 4, it could be something else. I could go with bullies. I could even go with conductors if I want to, as there is this persistent healing effect. I could go with faster reload speed or star number 3. Lots of options. But star number 1 and 2, quad limb damage, perfect synergy. Missile launcher is still 2-shot the best, but that may change. So that's 2-shot, explosive, durability, polished. And that's the situation when polished is the best choice because launchers, how they work, the explosion is hitting enemy, not impact. Therefore, pinpointers would have 0 effect as that works on impact. And nothing will happen. There would be no damage increase. It's very hard to cripple anything with explosions, so bullies would be almost unusable unless you cripple target with other weapon first and then switch, which is cumbersome, really cumbersome. Therefore, polish on this one is the best. In the future, 2-shot may need to be replaced by something like junkies if they will go through with attempting to nerf 2-shot on explosive weapons. Maybe it's a bug, I don't know, so that's a question mark. Is 2-shot gonna stay the best prefix for launchers, or are we switching? That's a question mark. And here you can see Tesla Cannon. I have spec the same way as launchers, as I'm using it as a launcher. Tesla Cannon has quite solid impact damage, but I'm not using it for it. I'm using it as area effect damaging weapons, that's why I'm running it the same as launchers. And there is much more that we could say, but this video is long enough. So now I'm asking for your input. What's your favorite combo? Do you agree with this table? The table of power for weapons? Or do you disagree? I will read your comments. And for now, thank you a lot for watching. And see you all in the next one.